Hi everybody, welcome to another video. So today we're going to have a little look and a little play with some mini guns. We're going to try and look at the air consumption of these various guns. I'll run through which ones I've got here, and then we'll go on to the air consumption part. But to give you a background, I've got this Pro Lite S, which is SRI Pro Lite, SRI Pro as it used to be called years and years ago. Same gun with the T5 cap. Now this is generally recommended or recognised as being the cap with a lower air pressure. They make a HV5 as well, but this one is a lower air pressure. And I know a chap who's got access to an airflow meter, and he took this into work and he measured this at 3.8 CFM, and that's at 2 bar, 29 psi. So we can use this as a base mark of 3.8 CFM, and it will give us a reasonable guess at what these other ones are consuming. But we'll run through what we got so that you know what to expect. We've got the Pro Lite S. It's the same as in the photo of the video on YouTube. We've got the Pro Lite S. I'm expecting that to be second in the air stakes, with the good old LPH80 definitely being the lowest. We've got the Segola Mini Xtreme, and I'm expecting that to probably be the highest air consumption. I will use them, or I will test them at the pressure that I use them at, because I know what the pressures I use them at aren't always what is recommended by the manufacturer. And it's much more relevant to know the pressure that you use it at, rather than, you know, the what's given by the manufacturer. I've got the ANI R150. This is actually the compact version. I've literally only just got this, so I'm going to put the compact version, and I'm going to put the standard ANI R150 in there. Sorry, R160 as they're called now. The standard R160 in there. See what the air consumption of that. These need to be used at about 3.5 bar for clear coat, which is, well, good, what's that? About 42 psi, something like that. We've got the W300, which runs at about 1.5 bar. Perfectly happy to do that. Although that will use a reasonable amount of air because it has quite big air holes in its air cap. We've got the DV1S, which is a newer version of the SRI Pro Lite, but that will also use more air than the Pro Lite, because I simply know it does, although you use it at lower pressure. We've got the Meiji finer core, and the finer core, we've got the Type R, which is regarded as their general purpose all-round gun, a 1.4 gun, very good gun. Of all the guns here, probably the best made out of all the guns here. We've got the LPH80 I've already told you about. That's with the E4 cap. We'll run through it when we're doing the test anyway. I've got the SATA 440B, 4400B, and that's with the RP cap, which incidentally uses more pressure than the HVLP. And the reason for that is that the HVLP, you run at about 1.8, 1.9 bar, so 27 psi, but the RP cap is recommended, and it does give better results at 2.5 bar, which is about, what, 36 psi, something like that. I've got the Impact Junior, the AZ4 Impact Junior, probably the only air guns that I would actually recommend. I've just cleaned these bases up here because they were all starting to corrode. Kept under the same conditions as all these other guns, but these things started to corrode. The build quality on these air guns or eye waters isn't very good. It really isn't very good. But this is the, you know, probably the best one of that bunch. And I'm going to use it with the two different caps. So it's going to have the AZ4 2 cap, and it's going to have the AZ4 1 cap. Difference being that runs at 1 bar, that runs at 2.5 bar. That will use a lot less air than this one. But what you also have to bear in mind, if you're looking at this as to having a smaller compressor and thinking, what can I run on that smaller compressor? If you've got something like this, which is an ideal comparison really, because it's exactly the same gun apart from the cap. If you've got something like this with the AZ4 2 cap on, and then you put the AZ4 one cap on, you're going to reduce the air consumption, we'll see in a minute, but probably by about half. But you will slow the gun down probably by about 3 times. So overall, doing the same work, the higher air consumption gun would actually be faster. So it's something to bear in mind, that you're not always comparing light for light, because the amount of material and the speed that the gun works will mean your compressor's on for a less amount of time. So it's not all just about the CFM, but we'll run through that as we go along. I'm putting the NSI Water Kwami 1. I really like the Kwami 1. This is the B4. I think I've got the B4. Yeah, B4. Again, I've got that because it's a good all-rounder. So we'll see what that uses. I've got the Kwami Wider 1L, which is basically the posh version of the Kwami 1. The Wider 1L is a low pressure gun, so it's got quite big holes in the air horns. It's got a split tip, 4 split tip, gives really good results at very low pressures, but it still uses a reasonable amount of air. You can use that about 1.1 to 1.2 bar, so it'll be interesting to see what that's like at 1.2 bar compared to that, which is at 2 bar. I'll normally run that at about 2. I've got a new gun here, which I'll quickly explain to you. This is a Pish PRD 515, but they make a 510, and I've converted this to a 510. I've got a video out that may be out on YouTube. If not, it will be out pretty soon, and it explains the conversion process. It's basically a cap, a tip, a baffle and a needle. So I've converted that to a 1.0. So this is in fact a PRD 510 1.0, and we'll see how much that uses. I reckon that's good. I have used this, and I reckon that's going to use probably about the same, maybe a little bit less than the Xtreme. But good gun, really well made. Love the colour, but anyway. So that's our selection. So we'll do the old thing, we'll put the camera on the head, and we're just going to see how long these take to run the compressor down. I think the best way I'm going to do it is to plug the gun in, obviously with a full compressor, but while the compressors get into pressure, I will just adjust the gun so that the pressure is correct for what I would normally spray these guns at, so that when the compressor stops, we can simply pull the trigger, let the compressor run down until it clicks in. We'll take a note of the time, and we'll get an idea of the amount of time it takes for it to click in. It's a 90 litre compressor, which, I don't know about US gallons. It's going to be, I don't know, I'll put it on the bottom of the screen later, but it'll give you an idea of the compressor size and what you can expect from that size of compressor. Normally I have 2 compressors running together, 2 90 litre compressors, and they're pinned together. One clicks in after the other if needed. Very rarely needed for what I do, but it is there, so I've got loads of air if I actually need it. And another thing to remember, if you're looking at these guns and you're thinking about the size of your holding tank, the size of your holding tank is just a reserve. It's just a reserve of pressure. What you need to keep an eye on is the output of the compressor. So if you've got a gun that say uses 10 CFM, this doesn't, it uses less than that, but if it's using 10 CFM and the output of your compressor is 10 CFM and everything is true and equal, then you would get away with 0 holding tank, because you would turn your compressor on. Yes, the compressor would be on all the time, but this gun would be running at 10 CFM and your compressor would be producing 10 CFM. The tank, as I say, is purely a reserve. So if you've got a compressor of say 5 CFM and you've got a gun using 10 CFM, that will give you a short amount of time, and that will depend on the size of your holding tank, to delinquish that pressure in the holding tank, because your compressor will not fill it up fast enough. So that's worth remembering. The main thing, because people often contact me and say, I've got a 50-gallon compressor, will it power a, I don't know, a GTI Pro Lite, whatever, Techno Pro Lite? and of course that's not the most valuable part of the equation. The most valuable part of the equation is the output of that compressor, not the holding tank size. Anyway, so we're going to, as I say, put a camera on my head, stop rabbiting, and try and get some air through these guns and see where we stand. Okay guys, so the compressor's just finished. We'll start off with the LPH80 with the E4 cap on it, which means it's got 2 exit holes on each air horn, small though they are. I've set it to 1 bar already, which is about what you use this, well, it's not about, it is what I use this at, and we'll see how long it takes. So we start off, I've set it, as I say, it's 0.1 MPa, 1 MPa is 10 bar, so it's 1 bar, which is about 14.5 psi. The compressor is 90 litre, which equates to about 24 US gallons. Now I'm going to speed this bit up. I'll turn the compressor off so that when it comes on, all I'll do is I'll hear a click and I'll stop the stopwatch. But I expect this to take about 1.5 minutes, but we'll see. So we'll speed this bit up and come to it at the end, and I'll stop it obviously when I hear the click. So LPH80 E4, it took 1:46, which is, what's that, 106 minutes, seconds. That'd be good going, wouldn't it? 106 seconds. Manufacturer's claimed is 2.2 CFM, which probably isn't going to be far out, and that's at 1 bar, which is 14.5 psi. So I'll swap over now to a different gun. We'll reset that. I'll turn the compressor on. We'll go to the Meiji. Let's try the Meiji next. All the onboard compressors, all the onboard airflows are set to maximum on the guns, which you obviously would do anyway if you use them with a gauge that's been attached. So let's turn the compressor on. We'll let that build up again. I'll set the pressure of this to the working pressure, which is normally about 2 bar. He says set it to full and he's actually undone it. 2 bar, so about there. So we'll wait for the compressor to come back on. This is the R cap, which is generally recommended to be an all-rounder, and as I said in the intro, you probably won't find a better built gun than the finer force. It's better in my opinion than the finer core as far as build goes. Anyway, so that's fully charged. So I will turn it off so that we don't get interrupted by a noise at the end, and we'll start it up and see what happens. My guess is it's going to be, the manufacturer says that this uses about 6.8 CFM, so I'm reckoning it's probably going to be about 40 seconds, 45 seconds, because it's not particularly air hungry, but it's not low on air either. And bear in mind, this is more of a midi gun than a mini gun, but it's interesting to see anyway. Still at 2 bar, so 29 psi, and we're at 32 seconds at the moment. Getting on for 35, and it's just clicked. 36, and the compressor clicked. So we get 36 seconds out of that. And the 6.7 CFM is what the manufacturers recommend. I'm mixing up my Imperial and my metric, because for some reason I work in bar on pressure, and I still stick to CFM rather than litres per minute. But that's at 2 bar, which is 29 psi. 2 bar, that's the T is the other one, isn't it? And that's the MEIJI finer force. Right, so we'll swap over again. Turn the compressor on. I don't want to turn the compressor on just yet. I'll put it on now. And we'll try this. Now this is normally really air hungry. I expect this one to be probably the highest air consumption. I think the Pish might be up with it, but bear in mind the Pish is in fact nearly a full-size gun. Xtreme. That's talking and the compressor going, you can't hear yourself. Mini Xtreme. It's the EPA cap, I think, yeah, EPA, and we're at 2 bar, 29 psi. And the manufacturer's, I can't remember what the manufacturer reckons for this. It's about 5.5 CFM. I won't put it down because I can't actually remember. Right, here we go. See how long it takes. I'll speed this bit up. There, you can see how much that uses. 27 seconds. And I think they say 5.5 or 5.6 CFM, but it's nowhere near that. It's much, much more. That 27 seconds with the same compressor is how long it takes for one of those R500 guns, you know, the cheap R500 guns from China. That's how long it takes. So this is using as much as one of those. And to give you an idea, a W400 Balearia or a Kwami 4 also hits it at 26 seconds, I think it is. And bear in mind that a Kwami 4 or W400 Balearia puts out twice as much material as this, so you can work twice as fast. So you can see how air hungry this thing is. Right, let's get another one. I'll turn the compressor on so that it's charging up while we're doing this. And we'll go for, we'll try the Pish, because I'm sure the Pish is going to be not far off the Mini Xtreme, because you can convert this quite nicely into a full-size gun. And build quality of this is actually really good. It's the same, I would say it's as good as the Segola. Okay, so we're going to try the Pish PRD. We've set it as a 510. This needs about 1.5 bar. A little bit less for base coat, but we've set it to 1.5 bar. Wait for the compressor to stop and then we'll start. Let's see where we go. Time-wise. As I say, I've converted this to the 510 cap, so you get a different cap, you get a different baffle, you get a different nozzle, and you get a different needle. Price of the sets are about half the price of the gun, but it works at quite low pressure. They recommend between 1 and 1.5 bar. I got really good results at clear coat at 1.5 bar, so what's that, about 22 psi? See how long it takes. So already over the Meiji, so about 40 seconds. I'll turn that off at the moment, so about 40 seconds, which is pretty good. 40 seconds, and that's the Pish, and that's the PRD 510. PRD 510, and we did it at 1.5 bar, which is about 22 psi. Manufacturer reckons that uses, I think they said 5.7 CFM, which is looking about right, isn't it? Yeah, it probably is looking about right. The only one that seems to be liar are the Mini Xtreme. Right, let's turn the compressor on a sec. We'll get this thing swapped over, and we'll go for the SRI Pro Lite. Now this is one I know already is exactly 3.8 CFM. So I'll set this up to 2 bar, which is what I'd normally use it at. And I'll put that down there. So Pro Lite S. That's a TE5 cap. And we're doing that at 2 bar. And we'll see how long that takes. They make a HV5 cap for this as well, and DeVilbiss reckon that this cap is about 3.5 bar, and 3.5 CFM, and they reckon that the HV5 cap is about 4.7 CFM. So this is definitely the more frugal air rise than the two. I expect it to be somewhere around about 50 seconds, something like that. But we will see. Still keeping it about 2 bar, 29 PSI. I'll just speed this bit up and we'll get to the end. 104. Blimey, done well. This is supposed to be, well, it is 3.8 CFM. You see why I like that gun, more universal than probably any of the others. Good output, low air consumption. Right, let's put some of these over. Compressor's just set, so let's get on with it. We'll get straight on with the start a mini jet RP setup. See how long it takes. The HVLP actually uses less air, and the reason for that is that you use it about 1.8 bar. So if you used it at 2.5 bar, it would actually use more air than the RP. But technically the RP, well, in reality the RP uses more. So let's get set to hit the button. Whoops, bring it down a bit. 30 seconds. So the SATA Mini with the RP cap at 2.5 bar. 30 seconds. So that's not far off the little mini Segola, is it? So let's unplug this. We'll go for the DV1S next. This normally about 1.75 bar, which is manufactured recommended pressure. So we'll turn that on, reset that, get this up down to 1.7. Wait for it to click in. DV1S, that's the S1 cap, which uses less air at 1.7 bar. I think the manufacturer reckons about 5 CFM for this. So let's see, shall we? Everything set, go. See how long it takes. So as I said, this is the S1 cap. They make an S2 as well, which I have got. Both of these are classed as HVLP, although it isn't really. This is equivalent to the T5 type cap, and the S2 is equivalent to the HV5 on the Pro Lite S or SRI Pro Lite. But these definitely use more air than the Pro Lite. So the Pro Lite was running for 104 seconds. I reckon this, even though it's at lower pressure, is probably going to run for about 45-50 seconds. We're on 40 seconds now, so it'll be any time now it will be clicking and we can stop it. But very good gun, this, very good gun, very fine atomisation. So a good general all-round gun, very expensive though. Well, that was about 52 seconds, that was. So DV1S about 52 seconds, which is about what we thought, wasn't it? 52 seconds. And we'll swap over to another one. I'm getting some kind of rhythm going now, which is much better. I have to keep stopping the camera because the sync goes out otherwise, and it's not syncing with when I push the trigger, which is going to look really odd. So I'm going to try the Impact Junior with the number 2 cap on it. So the EZ2 cap, so it's EZ4 This normally runs at about 2.5, I'll turn it on, it might help, 2.5 CFM. 2.5 bar, sorry. Oh, what that noise was. About there. So we'll reset that. Put down here, Impact Junior. AZ4 at 2.5 bar. It's the 2 cap. 2.5 bar. And see how long it takes. And we're all set, so we go. I don't know what that rasping noise was, it's because the pressure was too low, I guess. When I first got this, I actually used it on 2 bar, and I realised that it wasn't performing very well at all. And then I had a little fiddle with it, and I thought 2.5 bars about right. And when I looked on the instructions, the recommended pressure is 2.5 bars, so I should have looked there in the first place rather than muck about. 27 seconds. 27 seconds. Well, blimey, that's eating it, isn't it? That's the same as the Mini Xtreme. That surprised me, that has. I have 2 compressors hooked up together, so I don't normally worry about air consumption. What I do now is swap the caps over. So let's turn the compressor back on. Just swap the cap over for the EZ1, which is that one there. We've set it to 1 bar, but bear in mind it flows a lot less material at 1 bar. Doesn't matter where it is, but nice to be right. And it works well at 1 bar. Build quality of these is probably the worst here, I would say. So AZ4 1 bar. Right, let's have a look, see how long it lasts. I would imagine quite a while. That's the Impact again. Junior, Impact Junior. And then we'll apply the ANIs, 2 ANIs, the new compact, which I suspect is going to be the same as the R160, but we will see. So this is all work backable, so if you've got a 50 litre compressor, you can just divide that by 100 and times it by 50, and you should get the amount of time your compressor will last. That's the idea of it. And if you get the same in gallons, you're going to have to do the calculation yourself. Because my brain's getting fried with all this. Should be going soon. Nearly there. 1 minute 10. It's going quite well, isn't it? In fact, that's the highest of all of them. The pressure is on, isn't it? Yeah, it is on. Oh, that surprised me. 125. 125. It's the highest out of all of them. So, with the little cap, with the AZ1 cap, it's upside down, but it makes no difference. That thing doesn't use much air at all, does it? And that's not a bad gun. Work-wise, as I say, quality-wise, a little bit suspect to be fair. But yeah, we're getting there. I've only got a few to go, boys. If you're still with me, then well done for sticking around, because I'd go home if I could, but I can't. So let's see. So we've got the ANI compact. Put that on there and that on there. Now the Achilles heel with this gun, I always think, and anybody that watches my channel will know that I really like this gun. Feels lovely in the hand, very good gun. The Achilles heel with it is the fact that it needs about 3.5 bar, and I have used this, and it does need about 3.5 bar to get a good finish with clear coat. About 2.5 bar to get a good finish with base coat. But let's see anyway. So we'll set this up to 3.5 bar and see how long it lasts. Zero. I expect these two will be the same. The air caps are slightly different, but the air holes are more or less the same size. So I reckon that they will be the same. But as I've got both of them, we might as well try it. Nearly there. Right, so let's go and see how long it takes. Compact. That's 3.5 bar. And yes, it does need that. It really does need that. See how long it takes. You can use these at 2 bar, but they don't give particularly good results. 30 seconds. Turn that off. 30 seconds. And that's the difference between recommended settings and someone like me who's used these, and you know the pressure that these things actually need. So we'll swap that over with the... unplug it first. We'll swap that over with the R160. They are the same gun, it's just the tip that's different and the cap that's different and the needle that's different. All the settings are on full. Voice is going. Right, let's turn that on while we adjust this up. Adjust this again. Should be, yeah, it's going to use exactly the same air as the compact. So 3.5 bar. You'll get away with 2.5 bar if you're doing base coat, but really for a nice finish, and they're capable of really nice finishes, you need 3.5 bar, you really do. So that's going to be exactly the same. It's going to be 30 seconds, but we'll play the game and let it run and find out. Right, so let's get going. ANI R160. stop it, I can just hear it. Hopefully you can see it as well. Nearly there, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Just a little bit less, not a lot. Turn that off. I'll leave that off, haven't I? So let's swap over again, and we'll go now for the Kwami 1. Now I do like these side cut guns. Those that watch the channel will know that I do like these side cut guns. If you're still with me, if you're still with me, that is. I just want to leave and stop, but anyway, this is normally 2 bar, so I'll turn that on and run it to 2 bar. Two bar gives good results on these. I'll reset that. Kwami 1. It's there, AMI, Kwami 1, and that's a B4 cap, so B4, and it's running at 2 bar, and we'll see how it goes. Here we go. Leave that on, start. So we're probably going to see about 45 seconds, something like that. But these things are more of a midi gun than a mini, so you put out a reasonable amount of material. This is probably the best out of the Kwami ones for air consumption, but it's a good all-round gun, which is why I included it in this test. So what we got? On 32 seconds. Oh, okay, that surprised me. 32 seconds, so same as the ANI, and it's probably only as fast as the ANI. That surprised me. And now we'll go with the L. The reason I put the wider 1L in this comparison, is that it actually runs, it's got huge air holes in there. If you look at that compared to, hopefully you can see, compared to that, but it runs quite happily at 1.1 bar. So what we'll do is we'll get that going, set it to 1.1 bar. See how much air it uses. Wider. 1L, 1.1 bar. And see how it goes. Set that. Everything on full, yeah. I don't know why they put these stickers on there, because they just come off when you clean it, but let's see how long it takes, shall we? I thought this was going to use, even though it's a low pressure, I thought it was going to use a lot of air. You can see the size of those air holes, so I was expecting about 30 seconds, you know, comparing it to the rest of these, but we'll see. Nearly there, 20 seconds. 1.1 bar, so it's about 16 psi, which is what it's recommended to be used at, and it works very well at that. Very low overspray, very good gun, quite expensive. Yeah, about right, 32 seconds. So although it runs at half the pressure of that, because it's got huge air holes in it, same body apart from the etching, because it's got huge air holes in it, it actually consumes the same amount of air. Last one, and I'm sure you'll be really pleased because I am, is the W300, and that's the NSI Water, one of my favourite guns. Really nice, split tip, really fine atomisation. Right, we'll turn that on. I run this normally at 1.5 bar. That's the recommended pressure, and it works very well at that. But it's not a low air consumption gun, I know that. You see the air holes in there are quite big, nearly as big as the wider 1L. Not quite, but nearly as big. And you'll be very pleased to hear we're nearly there. I'm very pleased to hear it. Hopefully you will be too. And this is the WV1 cap, I think it is, yeah, WV1 cap. And we use it at 1.5 bar. Very happy at that. And we'll see how long it lasts. I don't think it'll be particularly long. My guess is probably about the same as these, about 30 seconds. We'll see, 10 seconds, nearly up to 15 seconds. Very, as I said, very good gun this. I've got the Kwami, Kwami 1 version of it as well, which is equally as good. 29 seconds. Can go off. That's good. Well, I don't know what we've learnt, guys. I guess we've learnt something. If you're in the market for a minigun, I guess we've learnt a few things here. Let's have a quick look, see what we have learnt. I think we've learnt that what I've said before about the Pro Lite S or SRI Pro Lite puts out a reasonable amount of material, reasonably good build quality, uses very little air. There's only 2 guns here that use less, the LPH80, which I expected anyway, but the Pro Lite S will do twice as much in the same amount of time as the LPH80. The voice is going, you're right. The surprise of the show for me, probably that, the Impact Junior AZ4 with the AZ4 1 cap on it. Only 1.0 bar, quite a slow gun, but it actually uses less air than the LPH80, which really surprised me. Anyway guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I'd like to say I enjoyed making it, but I probably haven't. But anyway, I hope you enjoy watching it. Thanks as always, bye bye.